And we start with the latest election results statewide after Maricopa County's ballot drop Saturday night. We expected the county's results to be more favorable to Republican candidates, and they were, but just slightly. Let's start with the two races that have been called. Senator Mark Kelly with 51.8% of the vote, Blake Masters 46.1%, trailing by more than 5 points. Libertarian Mark Victor at 2%. Again, that race has been called for Senator Mark Kelly. Adrian Fontes leading Mark Finchem by 5.6 points. That race has been called for Adrian Fontes. Now we get to the races that are too close to call. Katie Hobbs widening her lead over Kari Lake. She's now up 1.4 percentage points. Kari Lake would have to win 56% of the remaining votes to tie Katie Hobbs. Now to the Attorney General's race, 1 percentage point separating Chris Mays, the Democrat, from Abraham Hamada. And on out to the Arizona Superintendent of Schools, Kathy Hoffman. A very slight lead over Tom Horn, just 0.4 of a percentage point. Kimberly Yee in the treasurer's race, the incumbent, she has been declared the winner, winning clearly by almost 10 points over Martine Quezada, state senator. Those are the results, and we are going to be joined now by Adrian Fontes, the Democratic Secretary of State-elect. Welcome back and congratulations.
Thank you very much. We're almost there.
Almost there. Yes, we're going to hear more about that from Bill Gates in just a minute. The ballot count isn't over. Your lead is still fairly substantial over State Representative Mark Finchem. Do you expect that lead to shrink as the ballot count continues?
You know, it's entirely possible. Maricopa County, where the bulk of the remaining votes are, it can swing a little bit depending on which ballots are in and which ones are coming. But again, as I've been saying the whole time, winning or losing, we have to respect the process and the people who are actually doing the hard work 14, 15 hours a day. We've got to respect those folks.
And your opponent, Mark Finchem, is kind of saying something like that. He's saying the media don't decide elections, referring to the race calls by the Associated Press and other media organizations.
Yeah, he's changed his tune. He used to say they were all fakers and frauds and liars, right? And now that he might have a sliver of hope, he wants to respect them. So I can understand why he's completely flipped on believing in the election workers, where he has a chance of winning. But we're probably going to see something different if the result is different.
So Mark Finchem, one of the more extreme election deniers on the ballot here in Arizona. All 7 Trump-endorsed candidates for chief elections officer of their state have lost their elections. So is democracy safe or just safer?
Well, I think the American public have spoken, and they don't want people who believe in lies to be running their elections in Secretary of State races across the country, in Wisconsin and Michigan and Nevada, and here in Arizona. The folks who have bought into the big lie have been rejected, and I'm excited to make sure that we continue to rebuild confidence in the folks who run elections at the county level across Arizona, which is the people who actually make it happen.
So talk about that. Does the Secretary of State's job have to change in the face of these challenges now from people who question the elections, who sow doubt, and likely this will continue into 2024? Do you have to change that job at all?
I think the only thing we have to do is become more of an advocate for the folks at the county level. We've got to work more closely with it, particularly in Arizona, all 15 of our election directors, boards of supervisors, and recorders, to make sure they get the resources they need, not just in dollars and cents and people, but also in faith. We've got to make sure that Arizona's voters understand these are your neighbors. These are your friends out there in La Paz County and Mojave County and Cochise County that actually do the work. They should not be doubted. And having faith in them is what's important to make sure we maintain this republic and the democracy that makes it work.
Well, Kari Lake, the candidate for governor, Republican, has promoted many doubts about the election 2020. This one questions the 2020 election. If she is elected governor, can you work with her?
Well, if she's elected governor, I think those doubts will disappear very quickly, and that's unfortunate. But what I'd like to do is, as I've said through the whole campaign period, I'm going to approach this relationship with an open heart and an open mind if she is elected governor. I'm going to invite her out to work directly with and talk directly to those good folks out there in Arizona who actually run elections so that she can understand the process, understand the people, and hopefully move away from the big lie.
Your election is historic. I think you know that. You are the first Latino in 48 years elected to a statewide executive office in Arizona, only the second in Arizona's 110-year history. What does that mean to you?
Well, it's a point of pride. I think it means that the voters are moving towards merit. They're moving towards skill and experience. They're moving towards believability. And if it just so happens that it's a Latino or an African American or a person of color who has those skills over their opponent, then that's what they're going to go with. And I believe that this is a very slow process, a little too slow for some folks, but I'm proud to be where I'm at. I'm proud of my heritage. I'm proud of my family. And I'm proud of Arizona. I think this is an exciting moment, and I'm really happy for my kids.
Less than 2 months until your inauguration in early January. What's on the to-do list?
Well, first and foremost, I think I'm probably going to take a couple of naps this coming week if I can. But we're going to make sure that we communicate very clearly with folks across the state in all of those county election offices that I've mentioned earlier. They're the ones that need support, and I want to bring their stories to the legislature so that they can see that these are good folks who run good elections. Show them that across Arizona, these folks need these resources. And the good thing is, having run elections in the past, I know what questions to ask them so that we can do it quickly, so that we can start preparing for a 2024 that will be successful across the entire state.
Secretary of State-elect Adrian Fontes, thanks so much for joining us. Best of luck in your new job.
Thank you so much for having me.